helping me out because I'm not getting a specific
I'm not
response.
trying to stall you. I'm trying to.
But you're not giving me the information we're asking. Please do.
It was important to establish for the record the role of all of the players in this debacle of democracy.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear on this. The duties to carry out the election itself are not the responsibility of the governor.
So we understand for the record that as it relates to the November 7th election, you had no authority, no responsibilities, and took no actions with regard to the election.
In the preparation for the election?
Yes.
No, again, the Secretary of State and the 67 supervisors of election were responsible for that, and they carried out their duties.
Supervisors are in a precarious position here. We have a law that says that a felon cannot be on your rolls. And if I remove that person, you know, from information that I've received, and I've done it improperly, then I'm violating a person's right to vote. The law said that they had to verify this, but they were not taking it seriously. And you know, that could destroy a person's life. I received a letter saying that I was a convicted felon at my office. Yes, ma'am. And I am not a convicted felon.
Thank you very much.
I actually don't feel that the stories of disenfranchisement were that well covered by the media. There was a great deal of attention to punch card ballots and hanging chads. There was a great deal of attention to the political machinations. There was even a great deal of coverage for the soap opera litigation. But the stories of individuals who were aggrieved by what went on, that sort of went to the back burner and then ultimately just fell out of the story altogether.
Because there was no debate on the floor of the U.S. Congress, one Congresswoman, Cynthia McKinney, decided to hold her own investigative hearings in Atlanta, Georgia, the home of ChoicePoint, the company that created this list, and she dragged in the executives of the company to answer questions.
DBT was instructed to use very broad rules. These rules were supplied by the state when comparing names on the list.
What ChoicePoint admitted to us at the town hall meeting was that they weren't looking for exact matches.
Florida officials only wanted an 80% match on the last name. Now, the result of that was to capture the names of people with similar names.
If John Smythe was the convicted felon and John Smith was on the voter roll, well, John Smith became a convicted felon.
DBT told state officials that the rules for creating this list would mean a significant number of people who are not convicted felons would be included on the list.
And the state of Florida said, well, give it to us anyway because we want that comprehensive, inaccurate list.
ChoicePoint was paid $4 million. Were you supposed to verify the list?
No, ma'am, we were not.
So who exactly told you to provide a list that wasn't verified?
The state of Florida through their Division of Elections.
Okay.
For something as precious as the right to vote, you would think that they would want to know that the person they're banning from the voting booth is the actual person who committed a felony.
After wrongly identifying 8,000 Florida voters with Texas misdemeanor records as felons, it supplied a revised list.
Texas did not inform DBT that misdemeanors were on the list. They said it was a list of felons.
You got from the state of Texas a list of those who could not vote in Florida. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And who in Florida told you to provide those names?
It would have been the Division of Elections.
I just want to make it clear to the folks who are in here, if you think you thought what you thought you heard, and you don't believe that that's exactly what you heard, well, let me make it plain to you that that's exactly what you heard. What you heard is that highfalutin folks in Florida and Texas got together and decided that they were going to devise a way to make a list that would deny black people in Florida the right to vote and therefore produce the result of a stolen election, which is what we saw now. I know I'm supposed to be nonpartisan when I'm in an official capacity, but it appears to me that that's exactly what happened. Florida
was an apartheid election, a Jim Crow election. That's what happened.
How do you make up for something like this? Do you, or George Point, feel any sense of responsibility of what happened in Florida? When you have a situation like Florida, it tends to discourage people from participating. People start saying, it doesn't matter. Why should I vote? My vote is not going to count.
Problem with this is that it was so in your face. We're gonna steal the election, we're gonna take over the levers of government, and there's nothing that the American people can do about it.
Secretary Cheney and I are honored and humbled to have won the state of Florida, which gives us the needed electoral votes to win the election. We will therefore undertake the responsibility of preparing to serve as America's next president and vice president. Do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office.
The Florida experience was traumatic. When you think about it, the right to vote is key to the whole constitutional democracy that sets us apart from any other country on the planet.
Telling the truth about the 2000 election set me on a course to telling the American people all that they needed to know about this administration. September 11th started out like any other work day for the average American person. People got up, shop owners opened their businesses. We all were getting dressed for work. Some of us were at work. Stores were open. And all of a sudden, I mean, the unthinkable happened. Eventually, we all came together and we were given talking points. The talking points said that we were hit because we were free, that we were hated because we're free. And it seemed that everywhere I went for answers, I got that mantra. That wasn't good enough for me.
And I thought you'd be interested in this. This is the outline of the 911 Recommendations Implementation Act.
Okay.
Okay. That's separate from the Terrorist Reform Act.
Okay. Some people are going to ask very safe questions, but someone like me, who's not an insider, who's not looking to be an insider, whose responsibility first and foremost was to the people and not to the system, someone like me is going to want to get to the heart of the matter, to the root, to the truth.
There's a certain political etiquette, I would call it, about what is proper to discuss and not proper. And if it's too difficult, it becomes over the pale. It becomes conspiracy nut stuff. It's not just the information you put out, it's even asking the question, which is not permitted.
Crossfire. On the left, Paul Begala. On the right, Tucker Carlson.
Time to reveal our quote of the day. Buckle your seatbelts. This Congresswoman is a Democrat from the Atlanta area. She is Cynthia McKinney, and she has a conspiracy theory you won't believe, hopefully. Here's what she told a Berkeley, California radio station, quote, "What did this administration know, and when did it know it about the events of September 11th? Who else knew, and why did they not warn the innocent people of New York who were needlessly murdered? What do they have to hide?" End quote. This is how the White House reacted.
All I can tell you is the Congresswoman must be running for the Hall of Fame of the Grassy Knoll Society. I really don't have anything to say that would lend any credibility to what she said.